And now, here's your host of Shaping Success, Wes Tankersley.
What is up, everyone? Welcome to Two Nobodies Who Know Nothing on the Shaping Success Network with myself and Robert Watson every Monday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time. Robert, what's happening?
Good morning. It's a lovely day in Houston, Texas. It is 24 degrees, and we are freezing our butts off here.
Must have been an awesome run.
Woo. No, I haven't run yet because we got a little ice and stuff.
So you had to change it, shift. Interesting.
Yeah, I'm gonna run after.
Yeah, it's been pretty cold here. We've had this thing called an inversion that we get here in the Treasure Valley where I live, where basically the air shifts and it's like low clouds instead of high clouds. I'm probably butchering that, but that's what it looks like. And if you get above the cloud line, then you can see the sun. But we didn't see the sun for probably about 2 weeks. And then all of a sudden, the last 2 days, we've had the sun, but it's been like 20, 30 degrees. It's been awesome.
Love it.
Yeah.
So I had this quote the other day that I absolutely love, and it says, "The truest form of intelligence is being able to design the life we live."
Oh.
And that's a pretty neat quote.
Yeah.
So, that's one of the real battles that we all face is the world tells us what intelligence is, right? That it's either, in our case, degrees or whatever, or IQ. But the reality is that the intelligence we want is the one that allows us to live a better life, the one we want to live.
Yeah, and it's interesting how that works, because I think that a lot of times people let all the outside sources decide what that is for them instead of figuring out what it is on their own. And all that really matters. I mean, I struggle with this my whole life. My camera's acting funky, but we're going to have to deal with it. I deal with this all the time in my life because I'm trying to decide, at 45, you would think, hey, this guy's got it figured out. But I don't. And a lot of people don't. They still are trying to search and find that thing that makes them happy. I mean, especially with work and things like that. My wife she's a nurse, and she's worked at the same hospital for, I think, around 20 years. Not as a nurse, but started out there as a CNA, then an RN, or a LPN, then an RN. And she's worked there forever. And she looks at me all the time and goes, when are you going to decide? Because I've changed jobs a few times in my life. She's like, when are you going to decide what makes you, or when are you going to stay somewhere? And it's just well, when I find that thing that makes me want to stay there. And I may never find that thing that makes me want to stay there. But there's two different positions in this. And one is, as we've talked about before, it's get a good job, get benefits, and just kind of, to me, in my head, it's work for the man, be just an employee your whole life and collect a retirement and get a good pension and get all these things that are consistent and help you, stay where you are. Or in my thoughts is I need to advance. I need to advance in every single thing that I do so that there is more every single time. And when I've advanced to where enough is enough, then maybe I'll stay, but I don't know that anything will ever be enough. It's kind of a weird deal.
Well, I hate to break this to you, but I am next month I turn 65. And I am waiting for my PhD appointment so that I can go to a PhD program to spend 3 years to then do what I think I want to do at 68.
Mm-hmm.
So you might want to lower your expectations a little bit about how long it takes you to figure out what you want to do when you grow up.
But there's those two mindsets, right? I think that's really the thing. I mean, I have 2 degrees as well, and I have, they're both in education, but I've went from complete manual labor to changing tires and selling tires and changing them and anything under the sun, as in a blue collar job, to going to be a teacher, going back to, just being a salesperson that sometimes installs, that can do pretty much anything. I mean, this weekend I put a cabinet in my house that, I don't think many people could do with very little, instruction. My employer sells cabinets, and he was like, here you go, drop it off. I think it's pretty easy. He goes, if you have any questions, let me know. And it was pretty easy. At one point I got stuck with the doors, but then found a YouTube video, figured it out, got it done, and It's in the wall, you know? I mean,
Mhm.
it's one of those things that a lot of people aren't willing to do the trial and error thing and figure that out. But as basic as putting that in, or, you know, changing a tire, some people think that's basic. There's a lot of things that go into it, but all these basic things that you need to find something, you're just trial and error. Just keep going until you find what you do like, and maybe you will and maybe you won't.
Yeah, I mean, the entire point of the book I wrote, What Makes Life Better, was the idea of using strategic trial and error to find out what works in life. Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And you just begin to wonder for a little bit when people say that. You just have to have the understanding that that might take a while. In my case, you know, this will be my 2.0, my second career.
Hmm.
And this is what I think will ultimately make me happy. This is the thing I've been searching for or wanting to get to my entire life. And someone says, "Oh my gosh, that's so late." So, what difference does it make? You know, it's
Yeah.
not how you begin, it's how you end.
And I think that's what's so funny. There's, you know, I've been on this kind of, I don't like calling the word, it's journey or this path or whatever you want to say, but like I've been on this for, I don't know, probably 6 or 7 years now. And Gary Vee is one of the people who kind of inspired me to keep going and to keep looking. But one of the things that he used to always say is, and he probably still says it, I just don't listen to him as much as I used to because I glean the information that I got and then it kind of gets repetitive. I find this with most people. It's like certain people can tell you the same thing over and over again. Now, if you direct connect with them and you have a contact with them and you can talk to them, it's a different story. But when they're telling you stuff, it's like, you're young. You're young. You've got so much time. You've got, you know, and you have to think about that. It's weird though that time doesn't feel, you know, like you have a lot of time because as we get older, we get on the, I can't remember who it was I was talking to, but someone was talking about time and how it's relevant and how we perceive it. Well, if you're 1 year old, you perceive it as 1 year is this long, you know, and then when you're 2, it's this long. And when you're 3, it's this long. And then as you get older, a year seems to go a lot faster because you've experienced so many years. And when you've experienced that many years, it seems like, oh, well, this is just another one, right? So I feel like once you get past that point, because like I don't know, I'm 45 and I don't know when it's going to stop. I mean, you think you're going to live, I don't know what the average life expectancy is, but I'm like, if I make it to 70, I'll be good, right? So I kind of think about it that way. I'm past halfway where I think I'm going to be or where I'd be happy to be because I've lived a long life. And it's just going to be interesting just to see how fast it goes. But we have time. We really do. It just doesn't feel like it because the perceived time is different.
Yeah, actuarial age expectancy, I believe for a male is 76 and for a woman it's 78. And I think you're talking about what I call the ache of urgency.
Hmm.
This is this idea that time is short and that you need to be urgent. And what that creates is it creates an anxiety in you that you don't need. It's not productive.
Right.
It doesn't actually get you where you need to go because it's just this constant, never ending ache that when you're doing the right things to take you to the right place, you don't need the ache of urgency. You need the ache of urgency when you're not doing anything.
Yeah.
But when you're doing the right thing, you don't need that constant state of anxiety. What you need is that ability to stay motivated, to stay inspired. You know, let's see, today, this run, I will now be 20 runs away from 4,000.
Hmm.
So, you know, now as I get to 4,000 straight days, and now I look at it, and with a funny part again, as I've told you before, is that's my small streak. The big streak is I've worked out every day for 26 years.
Hmm.
26 years, and, you know, it's how many days are we at? 26 years, 26 days.
Yeah.
And the idea, as long as you're going in the right direction, there's no longer a sense of that urgency. You're doing the right thing. It's when you don't know what it is, you feel this ache, and that is counterproductive a lot of times. You need to be able to understand that things, unfortunately, you can't get 4,000 running days any faster than 4,000 days. I don't care how you want
Right.
to do it. You can't do it. and there's a lot of things that you can't do fast. I mean, when you're doing, I'm finishing a master's thesis now. I get into my dissertation next. These things take time.
Yeah.
They really do. You have to sit down and mull them over. They're not simple. And that's the thing that we've got to remember. We're a just in time society, and sometimes good things take time.
Yeah.
Like you trying to figure out where you want to be and who you want to be. I'm sorry, that's strategic trial and error takes time.
Yeah, exactly. And that's, I mean, that literally is the thought process between the whole thing is like, what does it take to get there?
Mhm.
I've been looking at things and going back and forth and talking to people, and I think I finally found something that might work in my favor. But the situation that I'm in currently doesn't really dictate. The nice thing is I can do both. So I can be able to shift and transfer over to one if that's what I'm going to do. And I don't know. I mean, I think that there's all kinds of different paths that you can take to get there. But if you can see the end line, I think, not the end, but like the result, this is the result of me doing the work. It's going to be completely different than just waiting for things to happen, which a lot of people do. I feel like, there's opportunities that arise, and I sit there and I look at it and I'm like, well, this one doesn't feel 100% right, but it seems like the path of least resistance. And then I get this little knock on the door that says, hey, maybe you better try one more time. And then you try one more time and you find the one that you think is going to be the best one. So it's also a point of not giving up and not being satisfied. But I've never really found a position where I know my worth, that they actually want to put you where you need to be. You see what you're willing to do. And then the hard part is getting discouraged, I think, for a lot of people, is when you start to do something and you're doing everything you possibly can. Like at my job that I quit, that I'd worked there for 6 years, I was treating that like it was my own company. I was giving everything I had and not getting in return what I expected. Whether he was going to ever do that, my boss was ever going to do what I expected or not, is not his fault. It's mine for expecting that. And so I have to find the people that have the same expectations of me that I do. And if I can find that, then that's a good fit for me. And it's a search, right? It's always looking, it's always being willing to do more. It's always being willing to, show your worth and do that.
Well, I mean, we can bring a sports analogy in there. I watched people search for the right team, the right culture, the right place to be that brings the best out of you, right? And you get guys who are drafted, high in the first round, and it takes them 3 teams to find the right culture and the right place. And then there's other guys that go through 3 or 4 or 5 teams and never find the right place or the right culture. It's not about athletic ability, because they weren't drafted in the first round because they suck as an athlete. Yeah. They were drafted in the first round because they're fantastic. But the problem is finding that match, right?
Yeah.
And that sometimes takes a moment, and that's again back to the right culture, right? That optimizes who they are, and their talents match, and the coaches are the right coaches. Because I mean, there's guys, we've seen quarterbacks who have 5 different offensive coordinators in their first 5 years in the league.
Right.
Well, 5 different offensive coordinators means 5 different systems, means they learn nothing.
Yeah.
I mean, because every time they learned a system, they put down and created a new system. Well, that's pretty damning. And the reality is a lot of times that ends their career because they never get to optimize in any system.
Right.
And that's the same thing, you're searching for a culture and a team where your talent is used and where you feel like, you're matching.
Yeah.
And that's a huge difference. Sam Darnold being the example at Seattle, right? We watched Sam Darnold play last night. I forget what his quarterback rating was, but it was like 143.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it was some almost excellent, perfect quarterback rating. And this is a guy who, the Jets said, come on, we got to move on. Who the Vikings said, oh, we'll use him for 1 year. He was successful. And so Seattle's his 3rd team or 4th team.
Mm-hmm.
And look where he's at. He's going to Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean you look at that's kind of similar to obviously Brady stayed with one team, but like they had this
Mhm.
guy who was a Pro Bowl quarterback. I'm gonna go solo for or you're gonna go solo for a second. I'm gonna keep talking.
You got
Um,
it.
but they had this quarterback that was um, an all pro quarterback in Drew Bledsoe, and now all of a sudden Drew Bledsoe is gone, and they have to figure out what to do with him. And then he comes in there and he shows them what he's made of. I mean, that is the thought process between the whole thing is that he's able to switching cameras. He's able
No
to
problem.
make it work, and that's it. Like he's doing the work. He's jumping in there. It's a shift, and he has started to elevate those people around there, just like Michael Jordan did. It was like, hey, let's bring in these people, and we're going to elevate them to be better because we want them to play to this system. Tex
Mhm.
Winter and Phil Jackson's triangle defense was not something that was really cool or, to them, but Michael Jordan had to make a shift. But he
Mhm.
realized overall, because it was, with his other team or with the other coach, I can't remember his name right now, but his original coach was like, just get Michael the ball. And now it's Michael, share the ball and you'll be more successful. And so didn't want to take that at first, but then he became that because he saw the benefit of what was going on by sharing the ball with other people. And it's just, I don't know, I have to find that it's the same thing. It's like, I want to find something that I'm able to share the ball.
Mhm.
I can take the reins. I can run the show. I can just do what I do, but it's not fulfilling to me to be the only person who's doing that. I want to teach other people to do that. I want to create more people like me who want to work as hard as I do. And that doesn't mean, here's the funny thing that a lot of people think when you say that. I want to create more people like me. It doesn't have to be doing things exactly the same as I do,
Mhm.
but being willing to work as hard as you possibly can for the best result. We get stuck in this world where there's a lot of things going on that your way is the only way and you can't see it different ways. And I am the type of person who will listen to any type of story there is. If someone came up to me and said, hey, this is how I sell, this is how I do it, I will listen to it and I will decide based on my current thing, like what I'm doing, how I'm doing it, my process. Is there something in their process that will make my process better? Or is there something
Mhm.
that I can share about my process that will make their process better and help them to be better at what they're doing? But too many people are like, this is the only way. And it's amazing to me because I'm listening. There's a lot of, and we're not going to talk about politics, but I'm going to tell you that there's a lot of people politically right now that look at it one way and that is the only way. And it's funny
Mhm.
because I'm sitting there talking to my wife last night and she keeps coming up with these questions and she's telling me things. She's like, how can some of the smartest people I know be the dumbest people I know or say the dumbest things? And it's just that nature. It's like not being willing to see both sides of it because they're so mad about one thing and it's on both sides. You know,
Mhm.
there's just this anger of you're wrong or you're wrong. And we can't see that somewhere in the middle is right, you know, and you may not like the way that it is, but that's not going to fix it by spewing hate no matter what side you're on.
Yeah, and that's so true. But we always remember that that dichotomy that you see all the time, that polarization, is incentivized in the
Mm-hmm.
system. It's monetized so that it exists because um, there's money to be made and money to be raised by having a difference of opinion.
Yeah.
And that middle choice, there's no money in that,
Right.
and so people have to realize how it's monetized. And I do love the political analogy, and the analogy of trying to find your team and all that kind of stuff is useful. Trying to enter a PhD program, basically you have to get letters of recommendation
Mm-hmm.
from basically PhDs who say to the PhD committee, "Hey, he's worthy of joining our group,"
Yeah.
meaning this elite academia. and
Hmm.
he's worthy of joining the group. And so I really didn't know in this process what mattered most. And what mattered most in the process is one of the PhDs took me aside and said that I was going into. He says, "Here's what matters. Yet your PhD recommendation letters matter a lot because we want to know from others who you've worked with that you're ready to do this kind of work. Number one. Number two, you need to tell us what you want to do.
Hmm.
Specifically, tell us where you're going to make a difference. Tell us what your idea is. Because the idea is you have a very, very short period of time to produce a new idea in the field.
Right.
That's a lot. And
Hmm.
so that kind of thing is I didn't know the first time when I was toying with the idea. One of the guys said to me, "Hey, listen, what do you want to do? You need to know what you want to do before you get in here." And I went, I have no, wow, how would I know what I want to do? And that's the same kind of thing for you. It's the same kind of thing when a kid graduates high school. You ask him, "Hey, what do you want to do for the rest of your life?" He goes, uh, you know,
Yeah.
what do you mean? I don't have exposure to, in other words, I've not seen, and you're saying the same thing, I've not seen what I want to do yet. So how can I select it?
Right.
You're asking me A, B, C, D, and D is I don't know yet because I haven't seen it. And that's a lot of the keys. And I was very straightforward when I said initially I didn't know what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
So I had to come to that place, and I came to that place, and it was like, okay, now I've got people who are my peers that are willing to say, hey, he's great, he can do this, and here's my idea that I think is really cool and that I can evolve. But boy, that took a minute. That
Yeah.
didn't happen overnight. And again, this is just one simple analogy of the same thing of, I have two sons, right? One of my sons is on a career track where he literally knows where he's going to be for the next 15 to 20 years.
Hmm.
And there's lots of ways that it could take, but in the military, he kind of knows where he's going. I have another son who's going to college and trying to finish up, and he has no idea. He knows
Yeah.
one thing: he's been a chef for years. He don't want to be a chef anymore. He knows what
Right.
he doesn't want to do, right?
Yep.
And that's what he knows. And sometimes that's good enough to say, I don't want to be this, or this. Okay, well, cool. We've done a process of elimination. Back to
Yep.
that strategic trial and error. Really important. And that's all you're doing is you set it up to this point. I know what I don't want to be.
Right.
That's huge.
Yeah. And I mean, it's funny because you think about it full circle, right? I started out wanting to do what I got my degrees in and ended up not being able to do it because I just wasn't ready. Like, and I think that's the other thing that a lot of people don't know is like, if you're not ready, if you feel like you're not ready, we men, for instance, like women develop a little bit faster than men. So they kind of have this idea a lot sooner than we do, but they still, it's not saying that they're all the same, right? Because we're not really done until we're 21 through 25 developing, right? And so I, brain wise, probably wasn't ready for college. And I go in there and I sit down and I try to do it and I wasn't ready. So I took a break. And then when I went back, it was completely different because I, went from a 1.67 GPA, flunking out of college basically, to going to a 3.7 in my bachelor's and damn near 4.0 in my master's, but I was ready at that point. And I think that there's
Mhm.
so much that, like, even if you're not ready out of high school, how are you supposed to make that decision when you haven't even seen the world? A lot of times the only job you ever had when you were in high school was, like I worked at a grocery store, you worked in fast food, you worked at a coffee shop, you did all these things that did not really pertain to what you want to do in the future because those aren't things that you want to do in the future. You want to do something else. There are some people like my brother who's like, I'm going to be an engineer. That's what I want to do. And they can go to school 4 or 5 years, get their degree, and go straight into the job and just continue doing it forever. Some people do that, but it's just like we talked about. Everyone is different. Everyone develops differently. We're all completely different, which is still kind of a whole nother story. But you're watching these kids develop. And I watched my daughter this weekend because I'm coaching her basketball team. She was not very good last year, but she improved every single game. And she's not as good as the other kids this year, but she's improving every single game. And I keep looking for that spark. And that's what I told my wife. I'm like, she made a basket, and it was funny because we practice short baskets, right? We practice layups because that is the most, in my mind, the most way for them to be successful in getting the ball in the hoop is being closer to it, hitting the square, getting it in the hoop. And she made her first basket in a game yesterday or Saturday, I'm sorry. And she made it, and I'm like, I saw that look on her face, and I'm like, oh, did she just get that spark? Because that's the spark that keeps you going, right? And my goal is for her to get that spark where I made 1, now I want to make 2. I made 3, now I want to make 4. And to build on that. And that's what I'm trying to teach her. And that's how it feels for me. It's like I go out on the golf course, and I told her this yesterday, I love golf. I suck at golf. But if I go out and I play and I hit this drive that's a bomb right down the middle and I get a birdie or I hit a great shot, then I'm going to go back because that's what I'm chasing, because I want that feeling again, right? Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm looking for in a job, that feeling. And once you get that feeling, you know. I mean, it was the same thing with my wife. Once I met my wife and I knew that she was the one, that's what I chose, and that was where it was at. So it's that feeling that you're looking for.
Yeah, and I always envied people that came out of high school or came out of college, knew what they wanted to do and went and did it. And
Right.
went and did it and have been doing it for 30, 40 years and seem happy, driven, motivated, inspired, all those things. I envy the crap out of them because that's not my world. My world was a little bit more, I don't really know where I fit. I found a place. I made a lot of money. Super. But now in the 2.0, I'm finally, I think, at the place where I know what I want to be when I grow up. Right. Of course, now I'm grown up, but nonetheless, at least it doesn't matter. I always say to people, be careful. It's not how you begin. It's how you finish. Remember, a race, it's not how you begin, it's how you finish. Because you could begin in first place, but what if you finish in last?
Yeah. And there's no judgment on those people. Like, it's funny because I look at like my dad has been in the same industry forever, but he's changed jobs a few times, right? And like, there are some teachers that have been there for 40 years. Like, if you're, or whatever you're doing, if you're happy or you're okay with that, that's fine. That's fine. But don't pass judgment on those people who are not fine with that, because that's, I think, the biggest thing is that there's so many people who feel different about different things, just like we talked about. It's like, it took us a while to find what we want, or we're still searching. And I'm going to search until I find what I want. And I'm not going to be, I'm the type of person who does it by, it seems like it's trial and error, right? Because that's kind of what it is. It's like, what am I doing today that will make me happy tomorrow? What can I find? And I know what I want, and it doesn't really necessarily have to be in any industry. It just has to be being able to make a good amount of money teaching, and teaching whatever that teaching is fulfilling, and having room to be advanced, right? That's really it. It's like being able to be advanced and help other people advance.
Yeah. And that's huge. And again, whatever, and that reminds me when you say that of an educator, right? Mm-hmm. So this is back to doing what you thought you wanted to do in the very beginning, which was what? Be a teacher, help people, along the way, develop. And that's a teacher. So you're going back to almost your roots, right? You're just coming at it a different way. That's pretty cool.
In a different industry. And that, that's the thing. It's like, you may have a degree in something that you thought you loved and wanted to do. How can you utilize it? That's the whole reason why this podcast is what it is, from me trying to, if I had it my way, the ultimate end result, if I could just do it, would be to make this work as the teaching tool. Right. But it's not in the cards right now. It's not, it's not that thing, but I'm going to keep doing it because I feel like these conversations, having a conversation with you every Monday, is a stimulating thing that is going to help me grow. And hopefully through you and I having these conversations, we help other people grow, and it reaches people to help them grow,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So another great conversation. There's a lot going on, but I just implore you guys to start looking at both sides of everything that you're doing. seeing it from other people's eyes and then making the proper decision instead of just seeing it from one angle. And that's what this is about. So
Absolutely.
yeah, if you want to help the show, please go to patreon.com/Wes Tankersley. And for as little as $3 a month, you can help this grow. Other ways to help is share this out, comment, like, and leave us reviews. Thank you again,
Absolutely.
Robert. All right,
Y'all have
everyone.
a wonderful week.
Yep, and we will see you next week.